Good evening, everyone. Gators, alumni, friends of the university, good evening. I would ask you, please take your seats. We have a lot to celebrate this evening. We have a lot to celebrate this evening in this room for sure. And during the course of the evening, I promise, Ben Fong-Torres and others will be giving you updates on the score. Okay, so we'll be connected, I promise. I'm Robert Nava, and I have the pleasure of serving as the Vice President for University Advancement at San Francisco State. So welcome, everybody, this evening to our President's Dinner. And 2014 Alumni Hall of Fame. This is going to be a magical evening because we're going to be celebrating excellence. Excellence of alumni from San Francisco State that are doing great things every day in our state, in our country, and actually in our world as well. I wanted to also mention, there was a lot of discussion tonight because, the Giants, the magic of October. There was discussion, President Wong said, wow, there's a possibility, and he was saying this back like 2 months ago. He says, there's a possibility the Giants are going to be in the World Series. And we were like, well, President Wong, okay, and well, you know what? The president's always right? Here we are, our alumni dinner, Giants in the World Series, so it's going to be an exciting evening. But I do want to say thank you, because despite all the excitement just down the street from us here at AT&T Park, we have 270 alumni friends of the university here tonight. What do you think about that? Yeah. And everyone that is here tonight, all of us, President Wong and our provost, Sue Rosser, have authorized an A+ for attendance because you're here. That's going to help our GPA a little bit. I know it'll help mine a lot. I want to take a moment and just say that as we've been organizing this event here at the beautiful Julia Morgan Ballroom, we did this with tremendous support from our advancement team, Teresa Ono, her staff, Doug Hupke, the alumni staff, everyone. But it was our sponsors that really helped us provide the underwriting for this beautiful event. So I want to take a moment and recognize our sponsors, but I also want to make a note that thanks to the generosity of our sponsors and to all of you who sponsored tables and who purchased tickets, we have used no state money for this event. I know our congressman and assembly member will definitely appreciate that. So I'm going to take a moment and just acknowledge our sponsors. They are listed in the program, but I just want to take a moment. I want to thank Axiom Development Corporation for coming in as a purple sponsor. Thank you so much. At the next level, AT&T, Coca-Cola, Salas O'Brien are silver sponsors. Thank you for your great support. Thank you. And silver sponsors, the Chinese Community Health Plan, PepsiCo, Recology. Thank you for your support as bronze sponsors. Thank you. I would ask you and invite you to please eat your salad. Not that you needed any permission, but please proceed. Because tonight we're all going to break bread together as family of San Francisco State, so please proceed with your salad. I want to take a moment before we acknowledge some colleagues here, but I did want to say this evening we also have a number of our foundation board members that are with us. The foundation board provides tremendous support to President Wong, to our faculty and students. So I'm going to ask all of our foundation board members that are with us to please stand, if you would. Please stand so we can acknowledge you. John Gumas, chairman of our foundation board. Provost Rosser, Nancy Feudum, Dana Corvin, Herb Myers, Mary Huss, and a number of others. Thank you, Foundation Board Directors, for your supports. You know, tonight, we're gonna, in just a few minutes, after dinner, we're gonna celebrate some amazing alumni. We're gonna hear some great stories of public service and leadership. But everyone, I wanna take a moment. I wanna introduce you to our future alumni. I wanna introduce you to leaders that are doing great things every day on our campus, good students, great community service, and they really support San Francisco State. I'd like to acknowledge our members from the Associated Students Incorporated at this table. Would you guys please wave? Sarah Paddish, our president. Sarah is our president. And I recognize this with our vice president for student affairs, Dr. Lolo Hong. But we have an amazing group of student leaders, and thank you. In a few years, let me tell you, in a few years, we're gonna be here celebrating Alumni Hall of Fame, and we're gonna be celebrating many of the students that are at that table, right? All right. I wanted to also mention that we're very fortunate to have a number of international partners. San Francisco State has over 200,000 alumni. Doug Hupke will correct me, because it's actually way more than 200,000. But we have alumni all over the state, the United States, and globally. And we have alumni doing great things. President Wong reminds us, and you've heard him say this, that the sun never sets on San Francisco State, because we have alumni all over the world and partners and friends, and that is true. You know, over the last couple of weeks, really since the beginning of this fall, President Wong, and we're gonna hear from the president in a few minutes, but we have a president who's very energetic, high energy, kind of like the Energizer Bunny, right? Just goes and goes and goes. But President Wong, in just the last 12 weeks or so, has been in Mexico, China, and Korea. And this evening, we're delighted that we have 2 delegations of colleagues from universities that are partnering with San Francisco State in developing collaborations for our faculty and our students, companies, opportunities to work together. So we are delighted that we have a number of colleagues with us from Penglai, China, from the University of Jinan Quanchong College in Penglai, China. And I'd like to recognize the chairman of their board of directors, Chairman Han, who is with us. Chairman Han, if you would please stand. Thank you, Chairman Han. And also the president of the university, President Liu, who is with us. President. When President Wong was in China being hosted by our colleagues, it was an amazing experience, and we learned so much about Penglai, the university, and their collaborations, and all the important work that's being developed in generating a very dynamic wine industry in that region. So stay tuned, we're gonna be hearing a lot more. And Linda Ubre, our Dean of the College of Business, is working on a partnership with our colleagues. A lot of exciting things happening. President Wong was also in Baja California recently, and we've established our first formal partnership with CETIS University. CETIS is a system of 3 campuses, Mexicali, Tijuana, and Ensenada. It's a wonderful university, strong in humanities, the sciences, business, and we have colleagues from CETIS University that were on campus on Thursday and Friday meeting with Dr. Jose Galvan, our faculty from the College of Science and Business, developing our partnership. So I'd like to ask Dr. Scott Venecia, if you would please stand on behalf of CETIS. Dr. Venecia, thank you and welcome. How's that for international flavor? San Francisco State, we're in the best city in the United States, an international city, and San Francisco State is a university. Our students, our demographic, represent the face of California, the face of the globe. We're an international university. Great things that are going to be happening. Okay, I am going to really cut it short now. And, which is, you know me, it's a little hard. Thank you. I appreciate that. I usually get the hook, my wife, Kathy, but all right. Now, I'm just positioning, I'm just the appetizer, because really, now, we're going to hear from one of our outstanding graduates, a very, very special individual, and I have the privilege and honor of introducing our MC this evening, and that is Ben Fong-Torres. But let me tell you a little bit about Ben before he comes up. I want to tell you a little bit about Ben, and I probably don't have to, because Ben is one of those individuals that really needs no introduction, right? But Ben was a graduate, San Francisco State, class of 1966. How many graduates out there from the 60s? Hands, let me see some hands. Congressman Miller, okay, that's great, I love it. I love it, because sometimes when we ask that question, and people will say, yeah, I was in college in the 1960s, I remember. And the response is, if you can remember the 1960s, you weren't there. Right? But I can tell you that our MC, Ben Fong-Torres, was definitely there, present, and he remembers. Ben, after he graduated from San Francisco State, he moved into a career that included a decade at Rolling Stone magazine, where he was both a writer and editor. He wrote more than 30 cover stories for Rolling Stone. You might remember this also. Back in 2000, there was I thought a really great film. I think it was a great film called Almost Famous. Do you remember that? Almost Famous. Okay, here's the story. It's about a young kid, teenager. He wants to be a rock journalist, and he wants a job. So he calls Rolling Stone and he talks to the editor and convinces the editor to hire him. The editor doesn't know that apparently he's just a teenager, he's just a kid. That editor was Ben Fong-Torres. It's an entertaining film. If you've not seen it, please watch it. If I recall, it's Cameron Crowe produced it and wrote the film, and Terry Chan, I think, was the actor that plays Ben Fong-Torres. So they had to find somebody really cool to play Ben. And they did, because Ben is really cool. I want to just mention about Ben has published 9 books, along with being a columnist for the San Francisco Chronicle. He's a broadcaster. He's also a 3-time Emmy Award-winning co-anchor of the San Francisco Chinese New Year's Parade on KTVU. And perhaps, and I'm going to finish right now, so follow me, and perhaps, most important, Ben Fong-Torres was inducted into the Alumni Hall of Fame. He was our Alumnus of the Year in 2003. So please join me as we welcome our distinguished alumnus, Ben Fong-Torres. Thank you.
All right, stop eating your salads. Thank you, Vice President Nava. I don't know about thanking me for being the MC. We will just have to see how it all works out. But I am honored to be here as a member of the San Francisco State class of, yikes, 1966. I am and always have been and always will be a proud Giants fan, a Gator. Actually, Teresa Ono and I plan to keep you updated on the score, short of interrupting President Wong or honorees, unless there's a really great play. Hunter Pence hits one. In fact, it is 3-1 now. The rally has begun. Woo! And speaking of being a loyal Gator, I can't let President Les Wong go off the hook and forget that earlier this year he floated a trial balloon about changing the university's mascot from the Gator to something, quote, more fitting and futuristic. That made sense. I'm guessing they considered the San Francisco State drones or the San Francisco State free-range gators? In the end, the right decision was made. We are, and we're proud to be, the Gators. There is much to be proud of this evening. The vitality of San Francisco State is reflected by the dynamism of its many outstanding alumni, those that we honor tonight and those of you here this evening. The university's annual Alumni Hall of Fame ceremony is an opportunity to showcase the excellence of our university. And this year we are proud to add the selection of the first ever winner of the Alumni Service Award. We will also honor the 2014 Alumnus of the Year. Tonight, our university family comes together. Our students, faculty, and staff, our donors and sponsors, and our alumni and friends in celebration of the best of San Francisco State. As Vice President Nava pointed out, we also have our student leaders here tonight, or many of them. They are at table 12. And they include President Sarah, not President Sarah, Phoebe, Luis, Omar, Itzel. Those are some of the ones I met. So welcome, Gators. I am hoping that you will enjoy the program and your meal, which will begin shortly. Please place your entree card on your plate. This will assist the staff in bringing you the wrong meal. And as you've begun your salad, I hope. Let me check on the World Series. Is this still 3-1, Teresa? All right. Still 3-1. Probably going into the top of the seventh by now. All right. We have bases loaded? Let's show the TV. We actually will be streaming the game. We will. We will do that a little later on. Come on, you got TiVo. Be patient. Jeez. You can watch the post-game wrap maybe somewhere. I don't know. Teresa. Now, we promise we'll keep you updated. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to introduce the 13th president of San Francisco State, Dr. Les Wong, now in his third year. Now he is in his third year as our president, Les Wong, defining his vision for the university with an energetic, positive momentum as the foundation for all he hopes to accomplish, just as he encourages students on campus to become engaged with big ideas and to make a difference. He is committed to doing the same for what he calls this remarkable university that is like no other. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me now in welcoming President Les Wong.
You're too much. You know, when you have a rock star introducing you, you start thinking, oh my gosh, I've really got to deliver something here. So I'm going to start out by telling you that the Giants have just scored a run. It's now 3-2, runners in scoring position. I'm not even sure I need to say anything anymore after this. So I do need to say good evening and welcome everyone. And it really is good to see all of you here enjoying one another, enjoying this evening, celebrating our students, celebrating our alums. And really to celebrate this great public urban university and all of its accomplished alumni. A special welcome to our distinguished honorees and their families and friends, and to our generous sponsors who proudly support San Francisco State. It really does take a team. Our alumni and the enduring power of the San Francisco State experience on their lives continue to inspire me everywhere, every day, whenever I run into a San Francisco State alum. Our alums are making a difference in the communities where they live and work, and as I like to say, and as Robert stole my line, the sun never sets on a San Francisco State alum, because we are making things happen all over the world. It is also encouraging for me to see the increasing level of engagement and pride that people have in this university, and all of you are demonstrating it by your presence here this evening. Now, I was going to kiddingly say that it's probably the case that we couldn't get tickets, right, for tonight's game. But as Robert was telling you, months and months ago, I said to him, Robert, you better check the schedule. Check the baseball schedule. And at that time, the Giants were sort of way down in the standings, and he kept saying to me, and here's my trusted advisor, don't worry. Don't worry. Well, San Francisco State is like no other university anywhere on this planet, and I am really grateful to be its president at this transformational time. We are on the move. We are shaping a new vision with new energy and a new momentum, and we are well positioned to accomplish really great things and to fulfill our dreams. Let me share with you a stunning development that just occurred. Just 2 days ago, we received great news that the university has been awarded a $17 million grant from the National Institute of Health to address the workforce diversity in biomedical research. The initiative is called SF Build, which stands for Building Infrastructure Leading to Diversity. Dr. Leticia Marquez Magana is the principal investigator, and she will work with a team of faculty in the sciences and other fields to just sort of turn over our presuppositions about success rates and the outcomes of minority communities seeking careers in the biomedical sciences. It is a fastball in our sweet spot, and we are going to transform science education. San Francisco State is the lead institution for the project because of our longstanding commitment to diversity and our history as a university renowned for scientific teaching, and our research partner will be the University of California at San Francisco. Now for some very special news, and I'll continue. There is a great tradition at great universities and other prominent institutions for alumni and our friends to offer significant donations to help advance the vision and future of their alma mater. And it is the hope of, in turn, encouraging others to make similar commitments. And such support from alumni and friends is even more important as the university prepares to launch its first comprehensive fundraising campaign in January. A first of its kind in the history for San Francisco State, this campaign will further strengthen our campus as a dynamic center of learning, research, and community service. In fact, we aim to produce a cadre, a horde of students like our leaders that are sitting over here as ASI leaders tonight. I am so proud of them. We aim to raise, for future generations and for today's generations of students, $150 million in 6 years. Support that will not only enhance our ability to keep our programs among the best in the country, but also help students meet the growing expense of a university education. And I am supremely confident that with the support of alumni, friends, faculty, staff, students, and all of our community partners, that together we will easily surpass that goal. Already, alumni and friends are making lead gifts that are creating an important sense of momentum as we begin the first phase of the campaign. And I get the special privilege of giving you just a hint of what has already happened and transpired. And I would like to first acknowledge some gifts between $100,000 and $1 million that are making a difference in the life of this great university. Already, our students are taking a leading role, again, in helping the campaign to begin with a sense of incredible, powerful momentum. Our student leadership have made a 5-year commitment from the Board of Directors of San Francisco State's Associated Students that will benefit university scholarships with an annual contribution that Associated Student Scholarship will aid students from across all disciplines. And members of the Associated Students Board are here this evening, and I want them to stand so that we can recognize you. I want to say thank you. You know, again, it's a testament to our values at San Francisco State that student government makes one of the earliest lead gifts in the campaign, and I want to thank you all for doing that. Another campaign gift I would like to announce this evening was made by the Board of Directors of the University Corporation at San Francisco State University. They have endowed a fund to support students in need of the course materials necessary to successfully complete their studies. In a way, it's kind of an emergency fund to help students overcome those small bumps in the road. And we are extremely grateful to the U-Corp Board for their support. I think members of the University Corporation Board are with us. I want to also ask you to stand and thank you. Where are you? All right, come on. Oop. I was going to shout out, safe at second. I think we're okay. A gift from alumnus and San Francisco State Foundation Board member Don Nasser made a much-needed renovation of the gymnasium and its locker room possible. The area in the front of the gym is now called the Don Nasser Family Plaza. Also, a very generous gift from alumna and SF State Foundation Board member Judy Marcus will give the San Francisco State weight room a much-needed renovation and upgrade. I want to share with you a between-the-lines story. When you hear about things like that, you really have to understand the context that the gym and the training room for our student athletes had not been touched since 1952. Okay? The basketball floor that we were able to put in was the first replacement since the original floor was installed in the 50s. Okay, and I was kidding Don Nasser that I think his name was carved into one of those early planks. But that's not true, not true. He and his wife have just been thoroughly supportive and generous. Now, I also get the privilege of announcing a gift from alumnus and San Francisco State Foundation Board Chair John Gumas and his wife, alumni Janice Gumas, which will establish a scholarship for students studying marketing. Why don't both of you stand up now? Come on. And I should tell you that John always, when we play golf together, says, Les, put your glasses on, okay? And I probably should do that tonight as well. Next, I would like to acknowledge a couple gifts, generous gifts made from $1 million to multiple millions of dollars. A gift from history alumnus Gerald Rosenberg, class of 1962, established the Gerald Rosenberg Family Scholarship Endowment in the College of Liberal and Creative Arts. Fabulous. A gift from Barbara and Richard Rosenberg created the new Barbara and Richard Rosenberg Institute for Marine Biology and Environmental Science at the Romberg Tiburon Center, expanding the center's communication about the science behind the world's ocean environments, and we thank them for their generosity. And last, in the generous and great tradition of leading universities, a very generous and forward-thinking individual has come forward to help transform the future of San Francisco State. It is now my extreme pleasure to announce a leadership gift that propels our campaign forward. Alumnus Ken Fong, class of 1971, with a Bachelor's of Science in Clinical Biomedical Science and a Master's of Arts degree in microbiology, has made an incredibly generous, multi-million-dollar campaign leadership gift to the College of Science and Engineering to establish the Ken Fong Translational Research Fund. The fund will support new and ongoing research that requires participation from faculty from at least 2 different departments. Because translational research solves problems people face in their everyday lives by using meaningful evidence-based information to address complex social, health, cultural, and relational issues. The process is more than promoting interdisciplinary or cross-disciplinary work. It is a process geared at solving problems. We think that we all should thank Ken for all of his other generous support across the university over many, many years. But this time he has become a longtime advocate and supporter of San Francisco State, providing funds for scholarships to assist promising students majoring in biology, computer science, and mathematics. He has been my mentor. He was instrumental in asking me to come to California. Ken, please stand and be recognized for your very generous gift. Thank you again, Ken, and for your desire to help San Francisco State evolve and grow and to be the best it can be. We all are deeply, deeply grateful to you. Gifts such as these announced tonight have the power to transform the lives of our students and the entire campus. We thank our donors for their generous support, and we look forward to sharing more good news with you in the future about meeting and even surpassing our campaign goal. And now it's my turn to turn the agenda back over to Ben. I want to thank you all personally for being here. I can't tell you how many times Phyllis and I sit down in the evening and pinch ourselves after events, talking with students, talking with faculty and staff, and the energy that just defines this institution is absolutely incredible. And I really see us on an arc of success, of producing students that are going to transform the lives of people in California, in the Bay Area, and I sincerely believe the community that we call this planet. And I want to thank you all for coming tonight.
Thank you, Dr. Wong. That is an impressive goal. $150 million in 6 years. I look forward to hearing more about the campaign as it unfolds. Already with the gifts that President Wong just described, there's an energy in the air about this campaign. So let's keep it going, Gators. Right now, I hope you will enjoy your meal. We are going to show the game, which is still at 3-2 in the middle of the 7th inning. No problem. No problemo. Oh, look. Have fun. All right, President Wong will soon join me in honoring the Alumnus of the Year and presenting the Alumni Service Award and inducting 4 new members into the San Francisco State University Alumni Hall of Fame. But how about it for table 12, huh? No, just kidding. We are here to share our pride in who we are and what we have become by acknowledging these outstanding alumni tonight. We are pleased to honor our 2014 Alumnus of the Year, Congressman George Miller. You know, many of our graduates carry the spirit of equity and social justice into their public service careers. SF State alumni are well represented in leadership in the city and in state and national capitals. Our Alumnus of the Year is among the very best and brightest public leaders in the region and the nation. A sense of urgency to serve people and his country. This is what George Miller says first motivated him to run for office, and it has never left him. First elected in 1975, George Miller's expansive congressional career has been marked by a tenacious pursuit of a quality education for all children and economic opportunity for the working poor and middle class. He served as the senior Democrat on the House Education and Workforce Committee and a leading advocate for education, labor, and the environment. He now represents the 11th District of California in the East Bay, including the majority of Contra Costa County. This year, George announced he will not seek a 21st term in the House. He's upset about the Giants losing, apparently. He is among the longest-serving members of Congress, which has had more than 10,000 members. As the chair of the Education and Workforce Committee, George led efforts to revamp the federal student loan system. He has also sought to draw attention to the working conditions of contingent faculty members. He is working to forge a bipartisan compromise to ensure that the historic Affordable Care Act, which he co-wrote, is fully implemented. Last year, The Nation magazine named George the most valuable member of the House for his work on the minimum wage, food stamps, garment worker safety, and fair trade policy. He was inducted into the San Francisco State Hall of Fame in 1997 for his outstanding work as a congressman who took to heart the responsibility and opportunity he had to help improve the lives of all Americans. San Francisco State University is proud to name Congressman George Miller, BA in American Studies, its 2014 Alumnus of the Year.
It really is. Just prior to the Congressman's comments, I want to take this special moment to announce that in honor of our outstanding alumnus of the year, George Miller, that we have endowed a $25,000 scholarship to be named the San Francisco State University George Miller Scholarship. And we will honor a student annually who exemplifies the very best in both excellence in academics and commitment to public service. Thank you, George. Congressman.
Thank you. Oh. Hey, Sarah, $25,000 out there if you work your buns off, huh? Yeah. And even a political science major can qualify, so don't worry about it. How about those associated students, huh? Then the backbone and the heartthrob and the pain in the rear of this institution for so many years. But you got a front and center table. I'm impressed. You guys it's coming along pretty well, huh? That political organizing is paying off. Well, thank you so very much. This is a wonderful honor, and I certainly want to thank President Wong for this recognition, and to San Francisco State, and to Ben Fong-Torres, who we've traveled the same road for so many years, and has been such an important part of chronicling American culture, Bay Area culture.
Right now, I'm just a roadie.
And I'm honored. Do I have to repeat it all? No. Thank you. By popular demand, I won't repeat it. And to the Hall of Fame committee, thank you so much for my induction there, and to the inductees tonight, congratulations. A remarkable institution and a remarkable honor for me. My 40 years in public service were hammered out at San Francisco State. I was fortunate enough when I attended San Francisco State that I got 2 educations for the price of 1. I got one in the classroom that was spectacular. I was not a great student in high school. Those who know me at San Francisco State say we weren't much of a very good student in college. When is it? When I spent most of my high school either suspended from high school or playing Friday night football. And I sent my application to UC Berkeley, and my father heard about that. He was in the state legislature. And he called his good friend, who was the chancellor of our community college system, and he said, I think you should come over and talk to George. And so Mr. Drexel, Carl Drexel, came over and he talked to me and he said, "So what are you planning for college?" I said, "Well, I sent an application to Berkeley and I'm waiting for an answer." He said, "Well, that answer is never going to come." He said, "But you're so fortunate. Your father in the state legislature designed a system just for you. When he wrote the master plan for higher education, he had you in mind. Now, you are what we call a late bloomer." You don't hear that term anymore, right? My wife thinks that's still the problem today, but anyway. Damn Giants, they got me thrown off the track here. He said, you will come to Diablo Valley College and you're going to enjoy it. It's going to be great. You can play a little football. That's apparently what you excel at. And then you will decide what you want to do after that. So I did that. It was great. Played a lot of football. My wife, at that time, said, "This has got to stop." So I got serious and I went to St. Mary's College for one water polo season and came to San Francisco State. And everything was up from there. It's been a remarkable career. It's been a remarkable opportunity. And I can't thank you all enough. Late bloomers of America, unite. We got to work this out. But it was an amazing opportunity in 1966, 1967, 1968 to be at San Francisco State, because I think it was the first demonstration of many cultures, many political philosophies coming together and asking fundamental and basic questions about the direction of the nation. And it was the most exciting time you could possibly imagine. You never knew what the hell was going to happen when you showed up from work. I know the Giants lost. Please turn off your phones while I'm speaking. But if you can imagine it, and think of this, this is 1968. This country is going through dramatic change that Ben Fong wrote about in so many ways throughout the culture. And you're in San Francisco, and you're at San Francisco State. And you have a tactical squad on the campus. You have the Black Students Union forming the first Black Students Union in a majority white institution. You have the Vietnam War and all of the protests on both sides of the war that took place on this campus. You had political speakers every minute of the day in the quad. But it taught you something about America. It taught you about a difference that people have and points of view and positions they hold strong, about the right to speak out on those, the right to raise these issues, the right to demonstrate that it was part of the democracy, it was part of a vibrant democracy. And of course, it was an example that played out around the world. It played out around the world. This idea that minorities would have a say, have some part in the design of the educational opportunities. The idea that people could stand up and speak out against the war in Southeast Asia, that they could speak out against racial inequality and opportunity. I can't tell you what it was like when Martin Luther King was killed and students gathered in the student union. And we didn't know what to do. And finally, students stood up one at a time and started to speak from all points on the ethnic, racial compass that was present at San Francisco State, unlike so many other places. And to share that shared experience, the loss of this person who we thought was our voice, who we thought would lead us forever, and to experience that at San Francisco State. That hones you to run for public office. That hones you to think only about tomorrow. That hones you to think about what you can do for others and to not sway from that track. It's a rough and tumble place, Washington, D.C., but if you've done your training at San Francisco State, you're ready for it. You're ready for it. Had a wonderful professor, Arthur Berger. Oh, he didn't flunk you too, did he? No. But he made you drink of American culture, of American diversity, of the changes that were rapidly starting to take place in our culture, whether it was in the business community, or whether it was in music, or whether it was in humor. And it was a remarkable experience to be in that class and to participate at the same time that you had demonstrations. At that time, the class was right above where the old administration building was. And again, it was really about earning some stripes to participate in a robust discussion in America about the future of our democracy. And today, I feel that this award is just a recognition of how much this institution has meant to me in the compiling of my public service, my public record, the stands I've taken. This experience has never left me, and I hope it will never leave me. I like to believe that it served my constituents very, very well for these 40 years, and it was always about opening the doors of access. It was about the equity of opportunity. It was about the chance to participate. It was making sure that perhaps the books weren't always cooked, the game wasn't always fixed, that others could get in and they could thrive and they could participate and they could lead this country. And that's what San Francisco State gave me. And I can't say thank you enough to this institution, to its leadership. It was wild and fun. And to see now what President Wong is creating today and the future that is being prepared for this institution to run with the biggest dogs in the country and to provide the skills and the talents for a workforce into the future and to provide students who understand what it means to have a huge, thriving democracy with this kind of diversity and what that means to a nation. That to me is the fuel that San Francisco State has provided. So I am so deeply honored by this recognition. It was a great run at the university, and I'll always be indebted for the gifts that the university, its faculty, its students, its atmosphere, the culture of the university gave to me. Thank you so very, very much tonight. Thank you. Thank you.
I don't know. I think he's going to run again. Now it is my honor to present the inaugural Alumni Service Award to an alum who has served San Francisco and the state of California with unflagging energy and commitment for 4 decades. Kind of like Congressman Miller. The Honorable Tom Ammiano has... Hey, wait a minute, I got 10 minutes here to do. Let me praise you here, Tom. Hang on a second. All right. The Honorable Tom Ammiano has served San Francisco as a teacher, civil rights leader, educator, supervisor, assembly member, fashion plate. Look at you. Look at you.
Giants colors.
Man, it's like Project Runway here. In 1975, Tom became the first public school teacher in San Francisco to make his sexual orientation public. Oh, I have... 2 years later, he co-founded the movement and worked closely with Supervisor Harvey Milk to successfully defeat the Briggs Initiative, started by Senator John Briggs, to ban gay people from teaching in California. Tom was elected to the San Francisco School Board in 1990 and to the Board of Supervisors in 1994, and served as president on both. Two-time mayoral candidate, he remained on the board until his election in 2008 as assembly member representing the 17th District. Throughout this time, Tom has been a leader on LGBT rights, healthcare, homelessness issues, and the rights of students, workers, women, and immigrants. A strong advocate over the years for San Francisco State and public higher education, he was inducted into the Alumni Hall of Fame in 2006. Don't make it about yourself. Make it about what you believe in, Tom has said, describing his approach to politics and his advice to those entering it. Tom has consistently been committed to advancing social justice among the highest ideals of this university. For his tireless work during a long and distinguished career in public service, for his commitment to giving a voice to the disenfranchised and powerless, and for his authenticity and courage to stand for his convictions, it is my pleasure to present Tom Ammiano, M.A. in Special Education, the first Alumni Service Award recipient. Hey.
I love Ben, you know, for all his advocacy for radio. In fact, he told me one time I had a great face for radio, so thank you, Ben. Well, it is quite an honor. You know, I attended San Francisco State as a refugee from New Jersey. So you can imagine it did seem like another planet when I first started as a graduate student in special education. And every time I went to class, those blackbirds kept attacking my head. And I'm not going to say, I think state in those days, I think it was 63 or 64, it had a sedate veneer, but if you scratched that veneer, you could see what the future was going to bring. And it was going to bring a lot more diversity, ethnic diversity, class diversity, and of course those years that Representative Miller was talking about. You know, I was served in Vietnam in a Quaker program during the war, and the reason I knew about that program was because one night, you know, like about 8 o'clock at night with that terrible fluorescent lighting they used to have in the education building, wasn't very flattering for a girl, you know what I'm saying. Putting out the gaydar, hoping perhaps to have an encounter with someone. I saw a little bulletin and it said, International Voluntary Services working in Vietnam and in Laos, looking for people, looking for teachers, looking for community organizers. And because of that entree, as functional as it was in a hallway in the education building with bad lighting, that really did change my life. And I did go to Vietnam, and I did teach school there for 2 years when all the bad and the good stuff was happening, and it was quite an epiphany for me. And I would teach kids, maybe 65 kids English as a second language. And of course, they all learned it with a New Jersey accent. So this is a dog. This is a dog. But it was also a political awakening for me as well. And, when I came back to San Francisco and got involved in community politics, San Francisco State was always there. San Francisco State was kind of an anchor, and it's been a barometer for changing demographics and changing sense of values. And I respect it. I respect it for that very, very, very much. My daughter went to San Francisco State and got her teaching credential. My son-in-law is now a vice principal here in San Francisco because of his education here. So there's always a light to criticize because, that's us. We like dysfunction. We hate to admit to that. And through that dysfunction comes progress, and that's been terrifically gratifying to me. So tonight compensates for the loss of the Giants. But tomorrow there's redemption. Not only are we going to win the game, but on the Kiss Cam, I will be with Buster Posey. Think of that. So thank you very much.
Lucky Buster. I'll catch that. Let's see, where are we? Tonight, thank you so much, Tom, and thanks for everything you've done. Tonight, we also induct 4 new members into our prestigious Alumni Hall of Fame. They are Margaret Avery. That's right. Andrew Lai, Michael McClure, and some other guy. Oh, Stephen Miller. That's who it is. The Hall of Fame, sponsored by the SF State Alumni Association, was created to honor those outstanding alumni who are acknowledged contributors in the wider community for professional, cultural, and civic achievements, and who bring great credit to their alma mater. Their photographs are displayed in the first floor lobby of the ad building. Now, I can understand what our new alumnus of the year and 4 new Hall of Famers are feeling. I was inducted into the Alumni Hall of Fame in 2003, and that same year was also named Alumnus of the Year. 2 years later, I was the university's commencement speaker. In other words, those were the dark years. Really? The accomplishments of those being honored this evening serve as a reminder to our students and to all of us that through a combination of skill, determination, hard work, and sometimes with more than a bit of bravado and luck, one can rise to the top of their profession and perhaps achieve more than they themselves had once ever dreamed possible. Each of the 4 alumni being honored tonight, in their own way and through their unique achievements, represents the best of San Francisco State. That's right. I don't lie, nor does the scriptwriter. Who can forget, this is our first inductee now, who can forget the excitement, beauty, and kindness that entered a cruel, harsh world when Shug Avery's character arrived in the film The Color Purple? For her portrayal of that role in 1985, Hall of Fame inductee Margaret Avery received an Academy Award nomination, but that would be only one of many theater, film, and civic honors she would earn during her long and full acting career, which continues today with television and live theater performances. Margaret's working life began as a teacher a 1965 SF State graduate with a Bachelor of Arts degree in education. She was hired immediately by the Oakland Unified School District. She excelled as a teacher, but her creative nature led her to develop her performing skills with evening and weekend singing, acting, and dancing classes. Within a year, she was performing weekends in Oakland community theaters and singing as a lead vocalist with a quartet. Inspired by African-American actors breaking into the field at the time, and by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s "I Have a Dream" speech, Margaret moved to Los Angeles in 1968 to pursue her own dream of becoming an actor, and that's just what she did. Working as a substitute teacher to support herself until the break that every actor dreams of, she continued to hone her craft as an actor and singer, first through commercials and then with guest and later starring appearances in television shows and films. Margaret's star continued to shine. Margaret has held office with the Kwanzaa Foundation of Los Angeles, an organization of actresses whose goal was to give back to their community. Then in 1995, she earned a Master of Psychology degree that led her to return to the LA Unified School District, where she worked as a psychotherapist. She eventually joined a private practice. Margaret continues to work as a volunteer counselor for local shelters that house abused women and children of domestic violence. This month, she co-starred in the play Gin Game in Shreveport, Louisiana, and currently co-stars on the hit BET series Being Mary Jane. The second season begins in January. Be sure to binge watch it. She is also the recipient of an NAACP Life Achievement Award. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my great honor and pleasure to formally induct and welcome Margaret Avery, Education Department, to the San Francisco State University Alumni Hall of Fame.
Lord, how did you know all that about me? You must have gone on the website. You never know what you're going to find out. They got me working in the 30s, and blacks weren't even in TV. When Doug Hupke called me and said that I was going to be inducted, I spent a little time trying to talk him out of it, because I felt that, gee, give me a little more time to contribute more. And then this little voice said, hey, fool, take this while you're alive. So only a couple of days ago did I think of something to say, and I thought, well, maybe it would be important for you to know what my experience was like at San Francisco State, and that was 51 years ago. I entered as a junior, transferred from San Diego City College, and that was 1963 to 1965. It was my first time living away from home, despite not knowing anyone, having no friends, no relatives. I enrolled into a new world of unknown challenges, embraced with lots of hope and enthusiasm to be young. America, in retrospect, my enrollment in 1963 to 1965 was amid America's challenging 60s. The controversial, as Congressman Miller said, Vietnam War, women's liberation movement, free speech movement, civil rights, gay rights movement, race relations, and television at that time brought America's confused world into our homes to view. That time in history became known as the cornerstone of laws today. Am I right? I remember one of the most poignant day that I experienced on the campus. I remember it as though it were yesterday. I joined hundreds of students on the sprawling campus lawn now consumed by the Humanities Building, I believe. We stood shoulder to shoulder, still, quiet, listening to the loudspeaker. And as you know, that wonderful campus has its low, cloudy days, and this was one of them. Clouds created a misty fog, blackbirds circled low above our heads, as though they too shared the need to listen. No seagulls that day. Can you imagine blackbirds flying low? We stood in shock. It was announced that our president, John F. Kennedy, had been shot. That was November 20th, 1963. A very sad Thanksgiving that year. Can you not hear me? I just did stage, so I went back to my film voice. Could you hear me? I am not aware of any study on the effect of the presidential assassination, the effect that it may have had on the morale of our country, or the emotions of the state of emotions of the students at that time. It is recently written that our First Lady, Jacqueline Kennedy, suffered from undiagnosed post-traumatic stress for several years. In retrospect, the devastating news came just 2 months following my enrollment at San Francisco State. And it was a catalyst for a deep sadness, confusion, disappointment in my country, a broken spirit, and probably a diagnosis of functional depression. The importance of the student counseling was not stressed at that time, nor did I know to seek counseling. So I look back and I wonder who survived the times. Years later, it became known to me that some of my classmates did not fare well during this turbulent time. My high school president from San Diego, voted most likely to succeed, burned to death in a drug-related fire. A college mate, shamed by her pregnancy, went to a quack and bled to death. Male students dropped out, fled the country to avoid the Vietnam draft. A high school classmate got involved with Charles Manson and was incarcerated for years. The popular song, "Where Have All the Flowers Gone?" gained new meaning for me. How did I get through those tough 2 years? I look back and I say, well, for sure, carrying 18 and 21 units per semester demanded my focus. And that was a requirement for me if I was going to meet the mark of graduating June 1965 and landing a job right away, which I needed, and I did. Anthony Chabot, North Oakland. I got a job 2 months after graduation, because at that time it was known that if you graduate from San Francisco State, honey, you got you a teaching job. And I did. Couples, I'm on how did I get through those 2 years? Because I didn't have any friends. I'd only been there 2 months. Coupled with a 20-hour work week job at Pacific Bell Telephone Company as an information operator. I'm taking you back. Information, one moment please. Can that be listed any other way? That's when you can't find the number, you're stalling for time. At 9 p.m. sharp, Pacific Bell provided a free taxi to my doorstep. Hats on right now to Pat Bell. So my schedule allowed no time to pledge a sorority, no time to take a much-desired elective drama class, no time to check out the interesting flower children in the Haight-Ashbury district, and honey, they were interesting. And certainly no time to date. I recall being stunned when the Black Student Union asked me to represent them as their homecoming queen candidate. I didn't win, but it boosted my spirit for a minute. So what got me through? I think about that. I was so lucky at that time. I could have dropped out. I sure as hell wanted to drop out. My spirit basically was very low. I was determined to graduate, not for myself, but because I did not want to disappoint my family. The thought of disappointing them kept thoughts of dropping out at abeyance. Low tuition certainly helped. I didn't know about my loan, what it was going to be, but my debt at graduation was $500. Paid off in 25 months at $20 a month. Now, that was a lot of money, but because I netted $16 a day as a teacher in 1965. $20 was a little more than one day's pay. Now today, who can pay off their student loan with a day's pay for 25 months? I did not participate in the graduation ceremony. I was just too exhausted. But I did graduate. I didn't go out to Cow Palace. I heard you stop that. You're on the ballpark field now or somewhere. But Cow Palace was just out of the question for me. I cannot imagine how different my life would be today, void of my education. I am so thankful for having parents and excellent teachers who stress the value of an education. I attended college when college was affordable. I was blessed with circumstances that allowed me to plow through my struggles with just the armor of strong determination. Words of encouragement and wisdom came from strangers that only now I recall. I didn't realize how important what they reached out and said to me at the time. Their true value is only recognized today, and I do know God carried me a lot of that time. I, as some of you, not all of you, but I have lived to see history repeat itself. We are fortunate to live in a democratic society, a society that is allowed to voice or print different opinions, as you have stated. Unfortunately, too often what is written or voiced is filled with misleading information, untruths designed to sway the uneducated, and they call it news. Political issues fought, won 30, 40, 50 years ago, we are now requiring the same fight, diligence to save them. My classmate bled to death going to a quack. I'll never forget that. We cannot allow ignorance, complacency, or greed to wear down the precious commodity, the human spirit. It is important that we each do something that will help another to help himself. Helping another to rise and help himself is a key element to help build and maintain a healthy, productive society. I would like to share a thought called True Success. I don't know who the writer is. It's anonymous. If any of you know, please let me know. I have it, if you're ever invited to my home, it's in my bathroom where you wash your hands. And I love reading it from day to day. True success. 100 years from now, it won't matter what car I drive, what kind of house I live in, how much I had in my bank account, thank God. Nor what my clothes look like. But the world may be a little better because I was important in the life of a child. And I know that you all can appreciate that wisdom. Thank you so much. I'm so honored.
Margaret Avery, now starring in The Color Beautiful. Like Ms. Avery, I hate to brag, but like her, I carried 18 to 20 units. I dropped 12 of them after about a month, but that's a heavy load, man. Our next inductee, Andrew Lai, was born into a Chinese family in a poor coastal village in South Vietnam during the Vietnam War era. In 1979, he and his family immigrated to the United States as part of the group known now as the Boat People. Without any knowledge of the English language, but with a tenacious determination to succeed, Andrew earned his Bachelor of Science degree in accounting from San Francisco State in 1986. Ooh. 2 years before his graduation, Andrew partnered with his brothers to start a family business. The 5 of them pooled their savings of $40,000 and purchased Sugar Bowl Bakery, a small coffee shop in the Richmond district. In 1993, he became president and CEO of Lai Brothers Corporation, the parent company of Sugar Bowl Bakery. One successful venture led to another. He became a partner and chair of a manufacturing company in China. Wow. In 2002, he was a co-founder of a dried fruit and beverage company in Pleasanton. Within 3 years, that company had $30 million in annual sales, and its products were sold internationally. In 2007, he decided to devote most of his time to growing Sugar Bowl Bakery and its core products, including donuts, brownie bites, and other treats that are sold to retailers across the United States, Mexico, Canada, and other countries. Andrew is a board member of the Asian Pacific Fund, a philanthropic nonprofit dedicated to serving vulnerable Asian Pacific Island populations. In 2007, the San Francisco Business Times named Andrew the most admired CEO in the Bay Area. Last November, President Obama in San Francisco, speaking on immigration reform, singled out Andrew's success story from a refugee to the leader of a $60 million family empire. He and his family were recognized as one of America's model immigrant families that has made the American dream a reality. Their values of hard work and perseverance and their entrepreneurial spirit continue to inspire others. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my great honor and pleasure to formally induct and welcome Andrew Lai, Accounting Department, to the San Francisco State University Alumni Hall of Fame.
Wow. Thank you for that wonderful introductions. Well, I was told if I'm a Gator, I cannot bring more than 1 page of my speech up here. But since I majored in my finances at San Francisco State University, so I know how to budget. I put 2 onto 1 page. But don't worry about it. You still have time to enjoy all night here, because I'm gonna spend all the time that the 2 more speakers are coming up here, right? Because if I spend all your time, then you got to blame all the speakers before me because they consume all of my time. That's what we call deficit in this country, right? All right. Well. Thank you, Doug and Robert, for reaching out to me. And look at this incredible work that they put together for us to enjoy tonight. President Wong and Mrs. Wong, great to see you tonight. Actually, they travel all around the world last week, but they spent some time with us at Asian Pacific Fund Gala last Saturday to support the Asian community in the Bay Area. Thank you very much for that. And Ken Fong actually is supporting Asian Pacific Fund and PAPA, which I am a board member. And thank you very much for your long support. Congressman George Miller, I follow your story, and thank you for doing all the work that you have done for our society. Assemblyman Tom Ammiano, somewhere. Thank you for going to Vietnam to share the pain, because it was the most unforgiving war in the society that I grew up with. It was incredible, unforgiving. Well, good evening, everyone. We are competing with the Giants tonight, but we won. Okay? No, we won because look at this. You know, a lot of people come to our event, not the Giants. Come on, you spend your time here, Ken. Hey, we won. Well, I came here 35 years ago with our school diploma, unable to speak English and had only $1 in my pocket. I was the poorest of the poor in this wonderful city, in this country. It was the education I received from San Francisco State University that helped me to be who I am today. The education at the university enabled me to be a good entrepreneur, think like a business person, act like a leader of my family business, and taught me what it takes to be socially responsible in working with our community. I'm sitting on the board of 2 great nonprofit organizations in San Francisco Bay Area. And also taught me how to be a family man. I'm a great father for my 2 boys. At least my wife told me that. Hey, when you have a good wife, that's what it takes, right? It was also San Francisco State University was also a place for me, was a place where I met my wife and I married her. Hey, for all of you single man or lady out there, if you want to find true love, San Francisco State University is the place to find your true love, get a great wife, and she'll support you. Make sure that she's a gator too, okay? Now, Malcolm X said, and I quote, "Education is our passport to the future. For tomorrow belongs to the people who prepare for it today." I'm sure that San Francisco State University will continue to lead and prepare our next generation for their tomorrow across the United States and around the world. Education is actually one of the most export commodities from the United States to other countries for many, many, many decades. I am confident that students all over this planet will continue to come and get educated here at San Francisco State University, and they will bring it back to their home across America and all around the world. Tonight or forever, I am proud to be a Gator, and thank you and good night. Hey, I didn't spend all your time. Remember, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lai. But next year we want donuts and brownie bites for dessert. Yeah. Without McClure's roar, there would have been no 60s, actor and director Dennis Hopper said of his friend Michael McClure. A poet, playwright, songwriter, and novelist, Michael found fame at just age 22 as one of the 5 poets who read at the famous San Francisco Six Gallery event in 1955, where Allen Ginsberg first read Howl. He went on to embody the spirit of those heady times, and more than 50 years later carries on as a vibrant and dynamic performer of the spoken word. Michael quickly became a key member of the Beat Generation. He has published many books of poetry, 6 collections of essays, 2 novels, and 10 plays, including the Obie-winning Josephine the Mouse Singer. He also co-wrote the hit song Mercedes-Benz with Janis Joplin. You remember, right? Oh, Lord, won't you buy me a Mercedes-Benz? My friends all drive hybrids. I must make amends. Something like that. Anyway, Michael has collaborated with many musicians, among them revolutionary composer and fellow SF State alum Terry Riley. Born in Kansas, and despite that, and raised in Seattle, Michael studied at San Francisco State with the poet Robert Duncan. Michael's poetry has been described as combining spontaneity, typographical experimentation, Buddhist practice, and body language to merge the ecstatic and the corporeal. Wow, is that correct? Corporeal? Okay, all right. Back to radio TV department. He frequently performs his poetry with musical collaborators. Recently, his 1964 classic Ghost Tantras was republished by City Lights. In this collection of 99 poems, one reviewer wrote that he pushes language to the outer edge of human expression. It is written in conversational English and in guttural beast language that he created. In his introduction, Michael describes the process of spontaneous creativity that gave birth to the poems. I have no idea what I'm doing, just writing. In addition to his Obie Award, he has received a Guggenheim Fellowship, an NEA grant, the Alfred Jarry Award, and a Rockefeller grant for playwriting. When asked why he wrote the poems that helped to define the Beat Generation, he said, "I wanted to change the shape of the known universe." Ladies and gentlemen, it is my great honor and pleasure to formally induct Michael McClure, English Department, to the San Francisco State University Alumni Hall of Fame. Now, I'm sorry to say that Michael sends his regrets that he is not able to join us this evening. He has sent a recording of his recent work and asked that we listen to the following piece from it to get a sense of what he continues to create and perform. The featured pianist on this piece is the late Ray Manzarek, the keyboardist for The Doors and a member of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
So the owl hoots.
So the owl hoots, turquoise, musk, white linen, deer in the yard, stag with antlers. Boyhood in the park of the body that smells like the ocean as it washes on the green grass. Your blue eyes, you looking with love, I'll leave you. And I ought to be scared as my skin wrinkles. The boy dreams of Grandpa. As I get huger, I become streams stretching into shadows of memory.
Thank you, Michael McClure, and also thank you, Ray Manzarek. Award-winning music producer, arranger, engineer, executive, and multi-instrumentalist, Stephen Miller is best known for his association with Windham Hill Records. There, his innovative productions and pioneering use of new digital technology helped transform the small independent label into a worldwide icon. His innovations in ambient sound helped create landmark recordings, such as George Winston's December, Michael Hedges' Aerial Boundaries, and Mark Isham's Vapor Drawings. During that time, Stephen collaborated with Steve Jobs to create the music for Apple's new products, 2E, Lisa, and the groundbreaking Macintosh. He was among the first producers to fully embrace digital recording and is considered a pioneer in the field. From there, he went on to co-found the Hip Pocket AM and RCA Novus record labels. While running his own full-service music production company, Stephen worked with a wide range of artists in the singer-songwriter, pop, and jazz genres, including the Dave Matthews Band, Suzanne Vega, Backstreet Boys, Pink, Manhattan Transfer, the Jonas Brothers, and Jack Johnson. He has twice been nominated for the Grammy for Best Engineered Album and has released 2 albums of his own compositions. Stephen continues to be actively involved in new technology and is co-creator of Ocean Way Drums, a high-end musical instrument plug-in. He has composed music for a variety of international clients and has provided consulting services for the television, film, advertising, and radio industries. Stephen is president of Phase Entertainment, a multimedia company based in Hong Kong. He is developing a web-based music education system and is readying the release of his first book. It is now my great honor and pleasure to formally induct and welcome Stephen Miller, radio and television, to the San Francisco State University Alumni Hall of Fame.
I'm still trying to wrap my head around finding love at San Francisco State. I don't know about you. Yeah, well, like Tom Ammiano, I am also a refugee from New Jersey. And growing up in the shadow of New York City, I remember it was 54 years ago that in 1960 that my father, for some reason, took me to the World Series game. Now, unfortunately, that game ended for the Yankees, my team, kind of like tonight did. So, I mean, I understand that. And I still, to this day, have no idea why my father would waste a perfectly good ticket on a 4-year-old. I'm still trying to figure that out. But from that day, the Yankees were my team, and Mickey Mantle was my man. And Mickey was part of an unparalleled lineage that included Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, and Joe DiMaggio. And their greatness is unquestioned, so it's hardly surprised that each of them is in the Hall of Fame. And in fact, my introduction to the concept of the Hall of Fame started with my dear Yankees. But But from that World Series game at Yankee Stadium, I'm going to fast forward 13 years to the dark days surrounding the Watergate hearings. And looking around, I'd say probably half of you remember Sam Ervin, the senator from North Carolina who ran those hearings. And for those who remember, Senator Sam had a very folksy, down-home way of communicating. And I remember becoming dumbfounded upon his introduction of one particular witness. At some point during the end of that introduction, Senator Sam said, and excuse my really bad Southern accent, he said, "This man was an esteemed member of the Accountants Hall of Fame." And I'm sitting there by myself and going, what the hell is the Accountants Hall of Fame? Beyond that, like, how do you get in? What do you got to do? I mean, Mantle and Ruth hit lots of home runs. DiMaggio hit in 56 straight games. Those are solid, quantifiable things. But election to the Accountants Hall of Fame, I mean, that's a little less clear, you got to admit. I mean, was it 30 years of seamless to the penny calculations? Did this man work for a Fortune 500 and was able to write off hundreds of millions of dollars of expenses that no other accountant could? It's 40 years later, I'm still trying to figure it out. Well, I think the simple answer kind of boils down to that this particular accountant was deemed to be successful in some way, which begs the question, at least for me, how do we measure success? And I know for me, this can be a difficult issue to ponder because it's fluid, or it should be fluid, because as our lives, our priorities, and our worldview evolves, so too can our criteria for success. But I'll tell you this, in my book, no matter what, the biggest component of success is doing something that you're passionate about. If you're able to sustain yourself by doing any type of work that you truly care about, for me, that is a success. And maybe I was a bit of a freak at a young age. I knew very specifically what I was going to do. I remember walking into the 7th grade guidance counselor, and he was a nice older man, and he said, "What do you want to do when you grow up?" And I said, "Record producer." And he took his glasses off, he kind of leaned back in his chair, and I know what he wanted to say. He wanted to say, "What the hell is a record producer?" But he said, "What is a record producer?" And I was a pretty, solid, honest young guy, and I said, "I have no idea." But I know that's what I'm going to do. Because I had a passion for the art of making music already, and I thought everybody had a passion. And I thought that you took that passion and you made that your livelihood. I didn't know any better. But as the years have gone by, and I've made my way around the world many times over, I've come to the sad conclusion that a lot of people are at best apathetic about their work, and many more are downright unhappy. And I think this is due in large part to the fact that most people don't have a true passion. I think some folks did at an early age and were discouraged, but many more were just never aware of the options that might interest them. And I think it's fair to say that most kids have very little idea of the enormous range of fields that one can spend their life working in. And I think the educational community at every level can do a much better job exposing young people to as many areas as possible, open their eyes to what they had no idea existed. But even then, it's really up to us, the community at large, to encourage these young people to pursue whatever passion has excited their hearts and minds. Because I firmly believe that we as a society greatly benefit when people are working in and at something they really have a stake in. Because that creates pride in your work. And that pride usually makes us happy. And happy and content people simply are more productive. And increased productivity benefits us all. So I think it's a win-win when we do everything we can to help folks discover a passion and then encourage them to follow whatever that path may be. And trust me, I think my fellow inductees will agree, it takes a lot of courage. But the rewards can be great, because the difficult job of simply keeping your head above water while pursuing your dreams and passion automatically elevates you to the major league status. So whether it's a home run hitting outfielder, an accountant, an actress and singer, a poet and playwright, an entrepreneurial baker, let's help everyone become a full-fledged and happy member of their own Hall of Fame. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen, or whatever the hell you do. Thank you, actually, sincerely to Stephen. And congratulations to all this evening's honorees. At this time, can I ask all of the previous Hall of Fame inductees here this evening to please stand and be acknowledged. Don't be shy. John Gumas. Yes, right. George Miller. I'll just sit down. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, the California State University system will be reaching a new milestone next year with the 2015 commencement. The number of CSU alumni will surpass 3 million. In recognition, the accountant certified that. In recognition of this milestone, the CSU has launched the Class of 3 Million celebration. For more information on how you can create your profile in the world's largest online yearbook and connect with alumni from SF State and the 22 other CSU campuses, visit classof3million.calstate.edu. The URL, thank God, is also listed on the back cover of your program. In closing, that was my Craig Ferguson laugh. In closing, we want you to know that SF State aims to educate students, faculty, and staff to embrace the values and principles of sustainability in their daily lives by integrating them into the university's planning and policies, academics, operations, student activities, and community engagement. In keeping with this mission, the centerpieces on your tables, oh yeah, there they are, will live on well after tonight. Guests at each table may fight over who will take the centerpiece home. Yes, 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 that's mine. Thank you for being a part of this special event in the life of San Francisco State. Go Gators, go Giants, and good night.